All right, gang. Hexy's back, revisiting Gettysburg 77 again. And it's because of all the nice little tidbits about rules that I've gotten from Wade and Andrea. It was Andrea or Andre. I'm sorry if I got it wrong. And my buddy Jerry Todd Uhlan. And you'll notice something a little different. Okay, so first things first. This is strictly Gettysburg 77 rules, Gettysburg 77 counters. All right. The only different things I'm doing is one, this is the map that Jerry Todd sort of redesigned. It's the Gettysburg 77 map, but he made it a little cleaner and easier to understand, especially with the woods. All right. And he made some of the building footprints and stuff. It pops a little better now, and the elevations, while they're not numbered, this is your standard. The lighter the color, the higher the elevation. You're what you see in your typical games, but it's the same map. Just like I say, it's just in a different format, different colors, and a little bit cleaner layout. While don't get me wrong, the Gettysburg 77 map is gorgeous. Most people will probably have to work a little bit on line of sight and stuff like that in the woods and the orchards. But like I say, this is the same map. It's just a different appearance and cleaned up a little bit. And the second thing I'm doing, because I'm not fond of the order of appearance cards, is I'm using the Terrible Swift Sword order of arrival cards, or the order of arrival chart for the Union Confederacy. The only thing I got to keep in check is when I get to batteries. So kind of what I'm doing is I'm taking the order of arrival in Terrible Swift Sword, the timetable, and then what I have to do is I got to match it to the same arriving units that are on the order of appearance for the Gettysburg 77 game, so that way when there's a strength difference, till hey, this regiment's didn't come in, you can see the strength difference on the Gettysburg 77 cards. So like I say, all the rules I'm using are Gettysburg 77 advanced. I'm not modifying that at all. So what things have been cleared up? Well, so I'm starting the 10 a.m. turn, and you can see a drastic difference compared to where I was playing it the first time, which means I must have really had some stuff screwed up. So, and my buddy McMurray likes to refer to it as Harry Heath rolled through the Union cavalry like 7th Panzer Division in 1940 or something. So, but as you can see, the cavalry has kept Harry Heath in check. And as a benefit, you can't see him here, but the cavalry has forced, those numbers you see on top are movement points that are expended that have to be accounted for in the next turn. The 2 here was because these guys were going to retreat, but they couldn't get enough to move back in retreat, so it carries over so they can finish that activity they were executing. All right, but both Brockenbrough and Davis are now at the 4 or worse disorganization level because the cavalry firepower being doubled, and then having Caleb's battery here, who, if you remember right, Caleb's battery got overrun pretty much by the Confederates in the other game. This time here, this cavalry with that firepower held their line. So now they are not, make sure here, nope. So Gamble is at a disorganization level of 3, and Devon is at 2. Look who's on the field. 1st Division, 1st Corps. Now, here's the other thing I did. I did do one more weird thing. So this game starts at 7, and it has a flow of, entire Heath Division coming on the Chambersburg Pike at the same time. So what I did was I went ahead and started the game at 7, even though with the Terrible Swift Sword reinforcements, Heath is not on the map yet. He doesn't come on till, was it 7:40 or something like that? So it gave Buford, with his cavalry sitting back towards Gettysburg, time to move himself over towards, when I started, I was able to get him out here to Hare Ridge. Now, you think to yourself, well, what is going to be the difference? I mean, the Confederate infantry is going to chew them up. Okay, well, you have advance and retreat rules, you have attack advance. A unit cannot move into the range of influence of a battle line without being in advance. And they have to be named to attack. So the concept's a little interesting to grasp, but so you're just not like any other game. You're just not going to roll up in there, jump out of column, continue your movement in line formation, and get right into the fight. All right. It took me a few minutes to figure out how to come out of column into battle line. Because I thought to myself, well, man, they got to use 6 activity points. That means, if that's all they've got that turn, you're going to have a column of troops on the road, and they're going to end up turning into battle line formation. Well, the problem is when you're in battle line, you have to have continuity in this game. So that means your line edges have to touch. Well, that would be kind of stupid to have a brigade turn sideways so they can all be in a continuous battle line. Well, I think what I'm understanding is, and I hope that some of you guys that are experts with this game or played it for a long time, I'm getting ready to ask a rules question right here. You tell me if I'm right or wrong, and tell me the proper way to do it. So if I had Pettigrew, let's say for instance, and he was in 4 hexes in column right here, and I decided he was going into battle line, I would just take, I'm assuming the lead unit where the commander is, and then I would burn that 6 APs for the whole brigade, and I would build my battle line right across the front right there. That's what I did, because I figured, well, man, if they're burning 6 APs just to walk out of column and get in the line, my brain said, well, that has to be the whole brigade coming online, and that's why it's done like that. And the rules just aren't specific about how you get into battle line. So there's my question. Somebody can take a picture, do me a proper demonstration of that, or tell me, do I have that right with what I am saying? And let me know, because I'm going to continue to play that way, because to me that's what makes the most sense. Combat fire, much better now that I understand how that philosophy works, and I'm grasping not being able to shoot combat fire at more than an adjacent hex, and also how to spread the firepower out when it's not just one brigade facing one brigade, where maybe a brigade like Pettigrew with 4 battle line markers, one of his battle line markers is actually in front of another brigade. I've got that little thing worked out in my brain. Again, the artillery fire, firing at point blank range. Artillery fire, firing at more than 1 hex distance, okay? I've got that worked out. And I will say that this time here, the punishment for fire was not as severe as it was the first time I played. Like I say, Heath just wrecked Buford, and he wrecked Wadsworth, his two brigades when they came up. Not this time. Like I say, Wadsworth hasn't even touched yet, and he's fixing to take the place of the cavalry there. So just in the simple little tips I got and hints I got about rules and how things function from the gang, and I'm sure I'm going to get more, which is great. But just because of that, I want to play, because now it makes more sense. And now, in my opinion, I'm seeing something that was probably much more historical. All right, something that was much more representative of what was going on, because you've got all of Heath's division on there, all right, but now you've got, which is 4 brigades, and you've got 2 brigades of cavalry, and you've got 2 brigades of infantry from the First Corps. So the current picture says that that's somewhat of an even match, you would think, by unit density or the count of units that are on the map. Now, granted, here in I don't know what, I think Pender is getting ready to jump on the map. Matter of fact, did I miss that, or did I just say the wrong turn? So I got to get Pender. No, because Pender comes on at, he doesn't come on till noon in this game, using the Terrible Swift Sword. So Heath has still got some fighting to do. And then behind Pender on the Terrible Swift Sword battle, you'll see Rhodes will come in at 1 o'clock, and then Early will come in at 1:40. All right, that's when things will start to change. Howard has arrived for the 11th Corps. He's moving up the Tawnytown Road. And then I believe Paul and Baxter are going to show up here. Let's see. Yeah, the remainder of First Corps Artillery with Robinson is going to show up. Excuse me. And the entire 2nd Division at 10 o'clock, which is now. Okay. And then Doubleday is going to show up at 11 o'clock. And then the 11th Corps is going to start arriving at 11:20. So it's going to start to get interesting quick. Obviously, Pender is going to get Well, he's not going to get into the action as fast, but it's going to take 2nd Division and 11th Corps a while to get up into Gettysburg. So my feeling is with the 10 activity point things, like for reinforcements, as long as you stay and use the 10 activity points and you stay in the formation you entered the map in, which is column to march and stuff, you can continue to use that 10 activity points until you reach the point where you have to come out of it, or you can no longer. If you don't use the full 10 activity points, then that condition no longer exists and you go back to the normal cost for moving. All right. In other words, you go back to, whatever you're going to spend with this organization and stuff like that. So, yeah, so a much new appreciation of the rules. And, it's probably for all of us that it works like that you start to get a better appreciation of the game as you start to understand the rules. I also think that this map that I'm using here, and it's funny too, is I printed a great big one too. I think I'm just going to end up hanging on my wall. But if I'd have used the other map that I printed, the hexes are about this big. So I would have these units would be like 2 inches apart. The battle lines would be like 2 inches apart. I thought that'd be kind of weird or funny to look at. So I may just put that one up on the wall. But it's nice and clean. Uhlan did it in a PDF format, so it prints out nice and sharp. Yeah. So there you go, Gettysburg 77. It's a reset. We are into the 10 a.m. turn, and we're just going to keep bucking away because now the game rules are making a lot more sense to me. All right. Let's get this up so y'all can see where I've restarted at, and we'll get back to you with more. Any comments, any suggestions? If you can spot something that looks a little different there, maybe I got something out of place. I'm still fighting artillery movement a little bit and the range of influence, but then I noticed the rule that says that artillery range of, when you're moving an artillery unit, the only range of influence that affects it is cavalry infantry battle line. So, because I was wondering about, because the artillery has some of these rifled cannons have a range of 8. So that range of influence makes it a lot difficult. But, I found out too that the cavalry is forcing these guys to get online, which slows heat down. All right, so let's get this posted, and we'll get back to you soon.